Hello and welcome. Here we are, once more. Let's see here. Just making sure everything is working on our end. Hmm. Well, that is slightly strange, but it shouldn't be a problem. Welcome. We return once more for Worldbuilding Wednesday. We will be working on, well, making a map for our Solo Sunday campaign. And I additionally realized that we may have one slight error in our setup. Not sure how long that's been there, but that's fine. So, let us begin, I suppose. Today, like I said, we'll be preparing for Solo Sunday. We have to make a map for the zoo encounter. Well, our protagonist, Juliana Aldous, is entering a gang-occupied zoo to make a trade with, well, an abandoned zoo, to make a trade with another organization for extremely cheap for a target that she is to acquire. So, of course, we need a map for the zoo. And as this is a solo TTRPG, I mean, it's not entirely so, I mean, we run it in solo mode, so forth. So, in order to play the game blind and the like, not know what's happening, it is run with a sort of series of charts and so forth that we call a bot. However, the bot always needs to be prepared. I mean, it doesn't always need to be prepared, but how do I put it? It's heavily up to interpretation, but that means when placing units, the bot isn't perfect for it. There are ways to ask questions to the bot to get answers to these things. For instance, of course, we could do something along the lines of asking the bot a variety of questions. But that wouldn't necessarily be ideal because, specifically, when asking the bot a variety of questions, we slow things down. So the bot answers yes and no, or gives us pictures, or theoretically, it can say things like a variety of things, but it also can have charts to describe things. There are ways it can answer questions. But it doesn't necessarily give direct answers. I suppose there's one thing I kind of want to check in regards to that. Give me half a second. There's one thing. Here we are. There is a series of charts, and I was just wondering if any of them were like weapons charts. Here we are. Not really. Not really. Okay. So yes, I am correct in my assumption. Of course, we could make a long list of weapons, or we could use the random weapon generator, which we don't need to use fully to get types, and we could use it fully theoretically, but it's not necessarily the most ideal to go about this. So what we're going to be talking about, other than working on the map, is basically rules for blind play or blind placement of things that we have some idea of. It also lets us prepare a situation to have things we know well, might happen, not are going to happen, but might happen, depending on how we weigh them. Weight being the amount of probability on the roll. So, these, of course, are charts and lists that we will work on and talk about how they all work. They can be used in a variety of different things, of course. They don't need to be only used in tabletop RPGs. Theoretically, if you're playing a solo game that is more a war game, I mean, we use it in the war game aspect-ish when we run mass combat and the like, but you can use it for war games. Of course, you need a bit more than just blind lists, but if you want to have secret placement and so forth in, say, a solo war game with little miniatures and so forth, of course you can, and blind lists help with that. So, because, I mean, when you make a blind list, you know what there is to a degree. So, of course, you could always randomly generate, but that doesn't really work with tabletop war games. But blind lists do, because you put in some of the information. So you know what some of the results are going to be, but you don't know when or where they're going to be. Much as how, when you're playing a tabletop miniature war game, you probably know what pieces your opponent is bringing to the table, but you don't necessarily know when they're going to place them with, like, late deployment or secret movement, so forth, rules for it. You don't, if the game has that, you don't necessarily know where any specific unit's going to be placed. Of course, there are additional ways to go on how they move and act, which is its own entire system, but we're not covering that. Not today. So, if I can find our sheet, here we are. We are going to make some lists. For that, we'll just get all the way to the bottom. And we will extend the distance of the sheet a bit, of course. So let me check one quick thing. If I have a prepared list. Specifically, I'm just looking for a chart. There we are. Copy that. Unfortunately, this will take a second longer than normal. Unfortunately, I can't directly place from this file into that file because formatting. There we go. So now we have a list. Yep, 150. There we go. So, for blind placement, we will use this list and we will populate it. We have different ways to go about this. We can do units. There are many ways to make lists for random unit placement, especially in what we're doing, which is less of the, like I said, we're not using the wargame variant of how to make a list. We're using the tabletop RPG variant of how to make a list. So things are going to be not complex, but slightly, we have options, and I need to work out which options we're going to go for. So, first things first, we'll start with a top part of our list. We'll go with, we'll figure it out as we go. So, we'll go with types. Let's just throw down some types. Let's not put them in the list yet. We'll just throw down some types, then we'll figure out how we want to format our list. So, first things first, we have melee, focused. So this isn't what they only do. This is their focus. Melee, ranged, multi, who don't specialize at all whatsoever. Let's see. Can we have two more? No. If we're filling it to 5, then we want multiple multis, multiple ranged. So here's what we'll do. We will go with 5, and we will go multi twice, range twice, melee once. The odds of these gangsters being entirely melee is not 0, but it is lower than them being focus ranged or focus both. So 1 melee, 2 range, 2 multi, and we will have them as separate charts. So we'll have separate charts of 5. Of course, we could do it differently. We could have charts of 10. We could do it in a variety of different ways. Anyway, let's see here. For melee, we won't go into specifics of weapons. We'll just assume they have standard weapons. Meaning, not standard weapons, I mean like standard melee weapons, which means more than likely their damage is going to be D8. Modifiers we can figure out if we need, because weapon types can have weapon modifiers. Hammers, of course, have better armor penetration, while swords have better wounding capability, and each one has its own stats and so forth. But we won't worry about that too much. Let's see. So, next we'll work on... There was one other part. Difficulty. Difficulty. Let's see. We have basic. We have trained. And we will have elite. So basic, because we are fighting basically low tier gangsters. So basic in this will represent, how do I put it? It will represent a civilian stat block. A civilian stat block isn't bad, but it's just not necessarily combat focused. So we'll have that represented by basic. Trained will be the standard combatant stat block, and elite will be a slightly better combat stat block. So those will be our stats for that. Let's see. What else did we want? Oh, I remember one of the things I wanted to do here. A chart for weapon types. A chart for weapon types, which will be... I think we'll have the chart for weapon types go 10. Because we're going to have several repeats to basically... With 5, we have one problem, which is a limited amount of placements. So we'll go with the 10, taking up 2 blocks, but it will allow us to have a bit more versatility in how we choose to weigh the chart, basically. Pistol, pistol, shotgun, shotgun, rifle, rifle. Now we weigh the last few. Pistol again. SMGs, we should have 2 of those. 3, technically. 3 SMG, 3 pistol. How do we want to weigh that last one? How do we want to weigh the last one? Could have a 4th pistol. Yes, that makes sense. 4 pistol rolls, 3 SMG rolls, 2 rifle rolls, 2 shotgun rolls, which weighs it so it's more likely for them to have pistols, but not entirely. There's chances they'll have other weapons. So that's how we'll weigh that. We don't need to finish the last one, of course. But basically that gives us a few charts for random unit placement. Oh yes, I know what we can do the last one. Size. Basically squad size. Let's see. Pair. We'll go with singular. Singular, pair, pair, team, team. There we are. So singular, obviously 1, pair, we'll count that as 2 to 3, and team is 4 to 10 also. 4, 5, 6, so forth, for how many units we can run into. And see, with this basic chart, we don't need to use any section, like we don't roll on the entire chart, which is an option, but we basically use sections. So when we're in the game and we need to roll for an encounter, what we can do is go 2. So we're going to be facing a primarily ranged unit. 5 or 10, 9 to 10 if we're being technical. I'm dividing a d10 by 2, but it's listed there as 9 to 10. So elite, we'd be facing an elite unit of ranged equipped with oh, I messed one bit up. That's 10, but we need to know which one we're rolling on. So when knowing which one we're rolling on, it's easy. We roll a d4 and divide by 2. So 1. So we're rolling on the first one. So it is rifles. An elite ranged unit with primary rifles. If we rolled melee, we wouldn't roll on that chart, of course, by the way. And then lastly, the size of the unit. 4, a pair. So it'd be fighting an elite pair of ranged units with rifles. And that's how we can blindly generate a thing. Now, of course, if you're making a list like this, you don't need to do it this way. There are many ways to make a list. Of course, if we wanted, we could have just one of these being gangsters, animals, flying animals, a specific creature. If you're making a chart for something and you know what creatures you want in the general area, you could make a chart that is literally just each of the creatures, and you could weigh it with the likelihood of that creature encounter coming up, thus allowing you to basically do that. We're fighting mostly, primarily people, probably. We're in the Terra Nations. There are aliens, but... So basically, using that, we can generate encounters of a variety we don't know we'll encounter. So when because we're playing against a bot, not against a bot, but with a bot, basically. So it will be random. We don't know entirely what we will face. And we don't need to come up with it on our own, which might weigh, to a degree, our choice. Subconsciously, of course, we wouldn't go out of our way to, you know, try and mess with it, but subconsciously you're going to weigh things and so forth in your own mind. But here we have it weighed as it probably should be, at least or how we want it to be, with a random variance of how we can choose it, allowing us to not entirely know what encounters we will face. And so, let's see here. So yes, that will be our gang encounter chart. Of course, you can also do this for events. So this isn't just for this can be used for practically anything. And the way this chart works is basically I forget how it was described, but basically it allows you to have separate sections or full sections, so you can roll a full die or a variety to get any specific number up to 25 and so forth. But anyway, point is, you can use this for creature encounters. You can use this for random events. Be like trap. So like there could be a trap where you could, spike pit or dart trap or literally anything like that. Or literally any sort of encounter or thing like that, or basically anything. You can make a random chart that means you know what's roughly in the area, and you or items or things you want, literally anything, items too, encounters, anything like that you want to be in an area, but you still don't want to know when they will come up, or they might not all come up. So that allows you to do that. There are ways to get it so everything will eventually come up by crossing certain things out and lowering the numbers on the list once you hit each one. So there are ways to go about it, but it basically lets you not entirely know what's happening while still having a rough idea, thus not going way too crazy with it. It can also be used for plot points. If you have a bunch of good ideas of plot things you want to occur, you can use that with the list too. So, in simple terms, like, we're not going to here, but basically, I know from what we've decided before that the gang boss is going to have a bunch of animals that he's going to probably use. I don't know when or what they'll do, but we know that the gang boss has animals at the abandoned zoo, and likely, full on evil, be like, throw them in the pit and so forth. I don't know, but point is, we know that is a thing. Theoretically, if we wanted, we could have a chart like this for encounters, and that could be one of the plot encounters that we can make sure comes up, or have it noted so it might come up. There's another way to go about that too, and I believe it's listed on this random chart. It's another chart type. Where is it? Here we are. Did I place it? Yes, the location charts, which work slightly differently. They work differently, but it allows a lot of the same thing. It's for random exploration of locations and events in locations and items in locations and things like that. So it's similar, but it has some slightly different rules about how it goes about it, and it works slightly better in different things. For instance, removing things from lists to make sure things are hit and make sure there are unique things works better with this, but this one has a bit more randomness in what you will hit, while the other one has a bit less. I mean, I don't mean randomness. Like, they each have pros and cons, and I didn't prepare here by figuring out what each one's pros and cons are, but each one has pros and cons that I'd have to think about and re-go over how they work to cover which one's pros and cons. But basically, they each have things they're slightly better at than the other. But they're both good. So, yeah, and of course, you can just randomly generate them. You can add them to plot lines. There are many ways to go about this. So, let's see. So now we have a generator for random gang encounters in the zoo, assuming things go south. It's not assured things will go south. But given that we rolled, where is it? Given that we rolled in the plotline standoff, things are likely to go wrong. And also, they want 20,000 Galactic Standard credits for the target, which is a suspiciously low amount. So, you know, like more than likely something's up. So, yeah, let's see. I suppose while I think about what we're supposed to be doing, we'll work a bit more on the zoo map. Let's see. How do we want to go about this? The base is going to be walls. So instead of placing a lot of blocks, the base area is wall. So here's what we'll do. Nope. Wrong selection. Snap to grid. Background layer. Basically, as I want the base of everything to be wall, we'll make a big block representing the interior, which is, this is the color we use for interiors. And then, alternately, we will place objects to represent exterior, like we did here, except, you know, where's my pointer? Like we did here, except interior, exterior, both are blocks, and black is usually, in this case, it represents exterior in this one case, but usually we use it to represent like solid walls and so forth. Usually. For certain cases, it really depends. But in this case, it represents exterior. Anyway, let's see. So, we know a few things about this encounter. We want corridors, sections, enclosures. Since that's what we want, hmm. Don't know how big to make the enclosures yet. Don't know what sections to cut it off into. I know that we're going to have a multi-level zoo. Ooh. I'm just considering how we're going to go about making this on the map. Here we are. The problem I face here is figuring out whether we want, just really how we want to go about design, honestly. We'll go with the grass texture. That way we can just go a little bit easier with this. That will do. So, we have an entrance. See, the problem I face right now is I want to focus on the bits I know are going to be important. I don't want to go overboard mapping the zoo, because I'm not sure how... I know we're probably going to have an encounter here, but I also don't know much about it. Of course, we can always map as we go in-game. And theoretically, if we really wanted, we could have the bot map for us. There is ways to get random map generation using the bot. But I'm not sure we want to do that. So let's see. I know somewhere over here we're going to have the boss's area and probably a pit for his animals and so forth. Let's see. But we will be entering at the entrance. Not sure if it's too important. We'll figure it out as we go. I also want another tile for exterior. We'll use concrete. Here we are. Because these more represent inside, so I don't really want to use the inside representing tile for outdoors, as that would cause some confusion for me. Not entirely, but to a light degree. Okay, we need offices. We'll just be quick with this bit. Offices there and there. Here we are. We'll place a corridor here, which is how we, of course, would get to those offices. Let's see. There, of course, needs to be a way in to the zoo proper from the entranceway. So we'll place a large corridor there. They expect guests and the like. Let me go into our objects bag. One second. As we try and find a reasonable object. Here we are, desk. So, we have messed it up. That's not the most ideal. Map-wise, for what I was thinking. I suppose that can go there. So, I kind of wanted a display area. I suppose the display area would be here. No. I want the display area to be here so it's visible to those. So that goes there, and that makes more sense. There. Then we could have the display area here. That leaves this for what? Probably some sort of storage or maintenance. And you wouldn't access it from here. They can access that from inside, sort of in the corner. Nope, in the middle. Like that. That'll do. So you get into the supply from there, and people walk into here. I kind of want that here for reasons, so we'll copy that. Place that here. And you sort of step out into this area. There we go. How do you get down to here, though? And what is that area? Those are important questions. You could remove one of these. Multiple offices. Copy that to here. Make it run down there. That works. You could shorten the building or not. I don't think we will. I think we'll copy that, place that there. And we have a little bit of a structure here now. The reason I want this here, because I want a small thing to run down there. Sort of like that. Then we can have an enclosure. Here? No. We need a sort of... This is... This zoo is supposed to be somewhat... I mean, this one's abandoned, of course, but it's supposed to be somewhat lower class, but also, I'm thinking of this too much like an entrance, honestly. This isn't an entrance per se to the zoo. The zoo is a tower. It's a tower, so you can have other floors and the like to it. So this isn't necessarily the main entrance, but it is a entrance. So it's not like we need all the, what do you call those, amenities here, but we want them somewhere, or at least a few of them. So what we'll do, we sort of want a grand display, but we also want, you know, amenities for the people, if that is the correct word for them. Suppose we could have a building here. Could have a building here with that stuff and start the zoo stuff here. Or you could move that to here and have the first... I'm not quite sure. I'm not quite sure how we want to design the zoo. It is a bit of a predicament. Let's see. So you have an entrance, go into here, step through. You could have a building here that's also part display. Meaning I very much want this. If this is a display, this is an enclosure, this is an enclosure. We'll start with blocks, as they make this a bit easier. Tiles. Grass. We can make round ones and so forth as we go, but we'll just start by basically blocking out a zoo. So we'll have a enclosure here. There we are. So we'll have an old enclosure there. Ooh, that would be fun. We'll have one here. Reason being, you can look, consider we have sort of an amenities area here with food and like a little court, whatever, and then there's a big window here in which you can look into an enclosure. Wouldn't that be something? Like so. Okay. So basically, on this building, we're going to have a big window in which you could basically stare off into there. And of course, since we have a big window, we need a observation room. There we are, in which people can stand and look over. A non-observation room for maintenance of the animal. Slightly smaller room. Can be just as long, but basically what we're going to do is place a hallway there. Okay, so there's a display here. There's going to be a bunch of small, sort of like shop, restaurant, I don't know, something over here. A food court area, which we'll just have as a big one. Do we want it to do we want it to combine with the observation area or not is a question we need to answer. So we have a big sort of food court area, places to buy. We'll combine it. There we are. So sort of like that, I suppose. I'm not a zoo designer, so this isn't the easiest, figuring out how to place one to be optimal. I mean, it doesn't need to be optimal. It's not like we're playing a Zoo Tycoon game or something. But we want it to be, you know, somewhat accurate. And, you know, I mean, this is space, of course, so, but we want it to be, you know, reasonable, not ridiculous. So here's what we'll do. We'll have this, once it gets to here, open up a bit more. Like so. Which basically lets us have a structure there. Oh. And more structures down here. Which is another sort of area for people. Suppose if we're doing that, we might as well extend that slightly. There we are. There we go. So we have another sort of area for people. This is going to be a primary area for people. I think that's enough buildings for that. Maybe not. In which case what we do, just so we have room for expanding upon it, I will have to fix this because of how I went about it. So we are going to want one longer. That way it actually fits up evenly. We'll remove that. Move these in slightly. There we are. So we have a way to expand the people area down here. Get rid of that one because it's rotated. Here we are. And so I suppose we have more enclosures. That's not lined up. Suppose we'll line it up there and just make this enclosure bigger. Like so. And another one here. This one will be fancy. Here's what we'll do. Grab a road or walkway. Place it there. Make it a smaller one. And extend it. Like so. Place that here. And that way you can walk around this enclosure looking at it. Why not? And I suppose since we're doing that, we might as well. Go like so. That does allow us to expand this building. I I don't hate it. I don't hate it. It's very nice. I mean, it's not the nicest. It's probably bad design of a zoo or something. I don't know, but I like it. I think it looks good from a gameplay aspect, with the ability to move through things in a different variety of ways. Ways around. Are you going to go this way or this way if there's an obstacle here? All sorts of options. And here's what we'll do. In order to keep up that idea of design, what we will do is we'll take this, place it here. And sort of make a section that you can exit that one from and take a little walk. This would go there, also, like that. Technically, since it's a building, it can go all the way up against, because that would be a wall. Okay. So now we have an area you would step out of here. You have your food, you look at this animal, you maybe give another look as you're walking by there, head to the area in which you can get stuff from there. Should be one back there. So yeah, you could walk through there, buy some food, look through there, step into here, give it a little look as you walk over to there. Okay, good. I was worried there for just a second that I had the sheet open and that the entire screen was hidden. Luckily it wasn't. So, let's see. From there, you'd walk around to here. There'd be more stuff over here. In fact, heading down from there, we'll have a large walkway. Not at the edge, but sort of a ways so we could have something here. Like that. Perfect. So as you're walking out here, you could go that way, or you could turn south and probably see some stuff over here. We are making progress. Not bad. Hmm. How else do you want to go about it, though? Let's see. Sorry for my silence. I'm just doing thinking about how to design this thing. Ooh. No, hmm. I say we. I sort of agreed that this would be a place to expand the people area, but I had an idea for a second of sort of having a like, let me show you, sort of having it like a large sort of animal area here, a sort of central display, if you will, like like so. Perhaps. Hmm. Could even be larger. But do we want this to be a people area? A few floors up or down it could be. Like I said, this is a multi-story thing. Hmm. We might need a walkway. Not a walkway, how do I put it? A stairway or elevator way. Here somewhere. If we make this, we'd want that here. Even if we don't, we'd want one of those. We'll not. Here's what we'll do. We will make this entire thing a people area, yes. I want to check that these are equal. They are not. But these ones are. Interesting. So we swapped things somewhere. Meaning we need to make this. Let's copy that, check this one against this. No. No. Okay. Hmm. I know how to solve that. We'll make that like so. Expand it by 1. And then lengthen that like so. Okay. So, because I don't want those if they're not the right scale. Perfect. And so what we'll do, copy that, place that here. There's a big walkway to here. So this, of course, is going to be a bit larger. And that center area will be an area for people, sort of like a big building. Then we'll have large zoo area around it. So we have a huge people area for like stuff, and then we'll have zoo around it. An enclosure there. A large enclosure here. Hmm. Over here, I think we'll finally have the area where the, the gang boss is going to be. So there will be a specialty enclosure somewhere over there. There's one other thing we know, and that will be here. And that will be special. We're going to actually just draw this on. Assuming I can find the right tab. There we are. We will have an open air sort of, obviously it's enclosed, but an open air thing for flying animals over here. There needs to be a way up north of it. But let's see whether we can't do this. Do I want to freehand it or do I want to make it spheres? I think we'll make it spheres. It does make it slightly easier. There we are. That will do. Perfectly, actually. I think I didn't mess that up. Let's see. Here we are. If we place that there, we have not messed it up. It's not too far north. It is too far to the right, but I actually want it to be that way, honestly. Because over here, what we're going to do is we're going to go like this. I don't want it to be a grid, you know? I don't want it to be a full-on grid. I want it to be a little bit wild. And so we can have that sort of like so. And then here would be where the workers go about their business. And so over there, grab a building representation token, place that over here. Maybe this is a place people can go in, get a little bit of information on the animals. But mostly, I suppose this is where one of the places they can access the enclosure proper. I suppose we could have another one up here or over here that they do that. And one of them can be a place in which people can get information. Anyway, we also wanted another one of these that's just a big sort of wild enclosure for animals. And then we have the boss area in this corner. Why not? We have the boss area in this corner, a big enclosure over here. Yes, I like that idea. We'll go with circles again because I just prefer it to freehand, honestly. Freehand has its uses for drawing on these, but I just think in this case, instead of having to manage getting it looking nice, circles make it look nicer than I could do freehand. Let's see. Grass. There we are. Hmm. Like so. Why not? Because I want another one of those things that sort of swaps and goes down and then right again. Like so. There we are. Then this one will sort of offshoot and go that way. Like so. And this will be basically the enclosure, and there'll be stuff over here with the boss. Yes. And one more circle, why not? This enclosure will be somewhat, nope, too much, somewhat circular. Sorry, concentrating on making sure I don't jump a grid. There we are. Now let's just fix that. There we go. And that will be basically the enclosure that the boss is staying near, at, around, etc. And because of that, we'll actually undo what we just did there, honestly. Undo that. Because we're going to have a building that's sort of here. And it will basically be the building the boss stays at. And this enclosure's structure, because this is going to be the enclosure for a Death World creature. So basically that will lead to there. We'll have that like so. Don't want it that long though, so we'll just go like so. Copy that, place it there. See whether this was long enough. Technically it's fine, because that outer line will be walls, so. Sort of like that. And there'll be an entrance there and there that people could, go in for. Anyway. So we have the base parts of it that we know we're probably going to use. Let's see. So yeah, that's the base part of our zoo. Of course, it's probably the exact same distance-wise, basically, on this end. And then there are multiple floors. But this does mean one thing. Map-wise, what we're going to do is we're going to connect these things for the most part. Like so. One more here. It will go over. but it will also come down here. Sort of like so. Which gives us 2 more enclosures, basically. Let's remove these, because they're sort of just in the way there. And that gives us 2 more animal enclosures in this section. Here we are. 1 here. Actually, more than 2, because this one will be split into a few. Meaning we will take this and expand it there. That way we can have 1 here that people can look at and 1 here. There. And this one will actually split into 2. Let's see. There. So we have a few enclosures down here. No, almost. It was a good idea. But I'm gonna edit it, place that there. And I messed up. Let's try that again. Place that there. We'll let it go all the way. Why not? It's not a problem. Oh, that's not the one I was going to use. It was this one. And basically have enclosures there and there. There. Much better, much better. Okay. So we have the base of our zoo area. We know the boss is going to be here. So that's an area we are going to need to work on. Let's fix it slightly. That will do. Okay. Of course, there's the entrance where you walk in from there and here. There'll be a lot of stuff in here, maybe even more animal displays of small animals and the like. Why not? Not sure. This entire... This is an annoying part. This is a very annoying part. Because there's something I want to do that's not going to be easy. Design-wise. If I can even find the right tile. There we are. This is not going to be easy design-wise. Because I want a room here. But that makes it exceptionally difficult. Not really exceptionally difficult, but annoying. Annoying to do. I'm so sorry about what I'm about to do, because accuracy is... Oh, I accidentally placed a line. There we are. So, I apologize because I am about to do something that is going to be non-even. It's going to look terrible, I assure you. But it's the best I have. 1, 2, 3, 4. I am not measuring this, I'm just doing this mostly by eye. And it's not ideal. But there's basically a big observation room, which is messed up by that, so we'll just pull that away. So there'll be an observation room, and that's basically where the boss will stay. There we are. A sort of large observation room in which you can see the animal. Let's edit it a little bit, like so. Why not? Here we are. Have a sort of structure here. Yep, that's why we're to hold down control when making these, otherwise it goes free snap. There we are. We'll have a main sort of area here. You'll have to make it slightly smaller, because here's what we'll do. We'll split this into several sections. Copy that, place that there. That will be a section. This will be a section. This will be a section. We'll actually have this as a separate thing. Why not? Sort of. Like so. Then this. I was thinking about having it be another one of these, but no. What we'll do is we'll go like that. And sort of have it like so. Why not? Okay, so we have this important area. What else do we want to do with that? You sort of need the boss's stuff. But we'll be right back. I'm going to make sure the conscripts make some good coffee. I'll be back in a minute. No, no, no. Here's what we'll do. We will call it there for the day. We'll call it there for the day, a bit early, but next time on Miscellaneous Friday, we'll do something maybe. But this is mostly done for the most, I mean, it's not the most detailed of maps, but it's what we need for Solo Sunday. We can work on other stuff on Miscellaneous Friday or something. Not sure, but we have some stuff done. We've gotten the majority of a grid map done for what we need. We can talk about it, work on it, and so forth. Because I have a few things I need to work on other than that today. A map for another campaign, and have to work on the, whatchamacallit? The lore video. And of course, I have Imperial business to work on, so we'll call it there a bit early. Thank you all for stopping by. My apologies for the slightly shorter video. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all next time.